Hello, this is Jared in the metal shop at Muscle Car Restorations. Got quite a project going on here, 51 Willys, and not only does we need extensive panel repair here to replace the rusted out sections of this triple bead pattern that recesses in the panels. We're also making a custom tailgate to go with this build, replicating that 3-bead pattern again and the recess. All right, so what we got going on here is a standard 1/4-inch stepping die for the Pullmax. We're forming the recess there, the straight lines of it. And I fabricated this guide to act as a sliding fixture to assist with forming the panel, keep everything tracking straight. It supports it and it helps fight the distortion that happens, of course, when you put high form into a piece of sheet metal. What we're doing here, this will be all the straight lines. We can just run these in on the Pullmax and clean these up. And then this was one of my test pieces. You can hammer form the corners in there and chase those lines in, get those cleaned up, and successfully make that recess panel. All right, so we're making this in 18 gauge steel for extra durability. Usually at a skin panel, you'd be running 20, 22 gauge, but this is extra heavy duty being an off-road truck. The guide rail goes a long way to making this run smoothly. First pass will only be half depth, and we'll take another finishing pass. All right, so we step formed all the straight lines on the Pullmax die, and now we're going to join these two together. That'll relieve the distortion in the sheet there. We've made a die from 1/4-inch steel, set a radius underneath the sheet, and you always want to have it extremely well secured, as good as possible. In a situation like this where you got it well clamped, but keep the clamps out of your own way as much as you can. We'll start out with some soft tools until we see the lines start coming up, and then we can pretty much avoid putting in any tooling marks that way before moving to some chasing tools or a flatter to finish it out. I'm gonna make sure here, even though we're hitting this with a piece of wood, a soft tool, we can still stretch metal where we don't want to. So try to stay on our radius. Okay, so we're moving on to the next step with custom tailgate for the Willys here. This is the last test run with this new die. This is the first rendition of the die that worked pretty well, but it was just a touch oversized, so refined this design. Made a new upper and a new lower, and much happier with the results on this one. All right, ready? All right, and back. As you can see, our tailgate skin panel is pretty well done now, other than wrapping it onto its final box frame. Got all the edges tipped, and stepping die worked pretty well, forming this recess. The corners were hand formed, and the custom die we fabricated worked out quite well after a bit of tweaking. And then I did coin the ends of these down, corrected a little bit of distortion along the edges. So overall, we have a very successful execution of a rather complex custom panel for our 4x4 off-road truck.